Every day I'm hustling.
Welcome to episode 5 of The Garage Hustle. We're here with Johnathan Jelks, Brent, and Eric Lachey, with myself. James is on vacation right now.
James is gone.
He's on a
mission.
He's on a mission.
A real mission.
A real mission. And Turkey.
Turkey.
And a couple other things? Or just Turkey?
Turkey, Greece. There might be a little vacation in that
Secret
mission.
Secret agent, James Fry. Today we're going to talk about your entrepreneurship story, what you're working on now.
Awesome. Honestly, I'm really happy and excited to be here at the illustrious Carbon Stories, and I'm taking James' spot. So
we get more likes than 10. James is out.
Yeah.
Jonathan's in.
Exactly. It's a deal we've made.
Yep.
My first question is the Midwest Tech Project. What is that?
Yeah, the Midwest Tech Project is an organization that my partner, AJ Hills IV, and I kind of came up with to address some of the workforce issues here in the city of Grand Rapids. You know, being a part of the deindustrialized Midwest, it's really disconcerting to see a lot of people out of work, and a lot of people don't know where the industry of the future is going to come from, how they're going to put food on the table. And technology is one of those industries. It's going to comprise about 70% of jobs moving forward in the country, tech or tech-related jobs. So we really wanted to do something that was kind of cutting edge in order to connect underserved communities to what the industries are that are going to kind of anchor Michigan's 21st century economy. And we came up with this name, the Midwest Tech Project. We wanted to mentor youth and help them to, understand and be exposed to how technology is going to, affect their world, and how they can transition from being kind of consumers of tech to becoming producers of tech and curators of tech. So
I like it. What would you say? Because you do multiple businesses.
Yeah.
Can you talk about all of the ones that you do? Give an overview of them.
Yeah, man. I have about 5 different businesses. I have J. Jelks Consulting. We help people with brand strategy, media, that kind of stuff. Me and my partner, Jamil Robinson, we have a couple businesses. The Grab 5 program, which is Grand Rapids area Black businesses. It's kind of like an accelerator for businesses in the core city, which is it's really exciting to help businesses move from Tier 1 to Tier 2. Help them, with their entrepreneurial goals come into fruition. And then I have an organization called Empower Michigan. That business is kind of focused on helping to develop inner city neighborhoods. And then GRUSA, which is really fun to be a part of. I'm a fashion guy. I like clothes. I come from a neighborhood where how you dress is really a key part of your overall expression, and so we wanted to just develop something that really celebrated the heritage and the pride that us Grand Rapidians have in our community.
So talk about where you grew up and how, being an entrepreneur, being so focused in the community, how did that happen?
Yeah, man. Southeast Grand Rapids, when I grew up, the 90s, I'm a 90s kid, I'm an 80s baby. It was great, man. The neighborhood was fascinating. It was a lower class neighborhood, but I had a lot of support in my home. My parents both went to the University of Michigan, and my dad is a professor, and my mom is a lawyer, so they were extremely overbearing. But my neighborhood was tough. In the 90s, it was the height of the crack epidemic and those kinds of things, and so. Just being from that neighborhood and having a little bit more than everybody else, not everybody else, but than some of my peers, you had to have tough skin. You had to be on point, and it was great. It was a great contrast because my parents would take myself and my sister to Europe in the summers, but then I would come home to the neighborhood and be abreast of everything that was going on in the streets, and I think that really made me do the kind of work that I'm doing now. So yeah, man, the music was great. Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, that kind of stuff is what formed me. And I had great friends and family from my neighborhood, and the community was still a community. Kids played outside in the summertime, which I don't see so much anymore, which is unfortunate. But yeah, Grand Rapids, I knew that Grand Rapids had the potential to be great, but I also knew that there were great disparities at an early age from being in my neighborhood. And so those are things that always inspired me to want to contribute to the city.
Another question: what kind of made you stay in Grand Rapids? You seem like a smart guy.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of ideas and businesses.
Could have went anywhere in the world, and because of Grand Rapids, like the lack of diversity here, it kind of will push you to want to go to New York City or to an Atlanta or to Los Angeles, which I just got back from. Had a ball, by the way. But you know, this is home, and so the people that I most want to help, the people who I most care about, are right here in the city. And being from Southeast Grand Rapids, there's a lot of pride attached to that. And there's great room, great potential for growth, great potential for expansion. And so I just kind of want to lay down a foundation and work with the community that gave so much to me. There's always going to be other opportunities to, you know, buy homes in other places and see other things. And, you know, you can always travel, but you have to think about it. Grand Rapids is a great city. It's clean, it's well run, it's efficient. And the cost of living isn't too high. I know it's going up, but it's not too high in comparison to some of these other great metropolitan communities. So I always just wanted to have the home base be here, especially being an entrepreneur. If I'm going to employ somebody, I would rather it be my cousin or my neighbor, or give an internship to somebody whose kids I know, as opposed to, you know, going somewhere else. And I think lastly, becoming, you know, it's great to be, you know, a fish in the ocean, but, you know, you're a big fish here in Grand Rapids if you're doing something positive and inspiring. So I always thought about it like that.
I love this. I say a lot of the same sentiments, and it's from opposite ends of Grand Rapids, if you will. I love hearing it, that there's pride and excitement and passion going everywhere. A couple of questions that you said, some things that I wanted to touch on. How do your parents, being educated and very on the upper end of the professional scale, look at you as being an entrepreneur? So
Yeah.
I think one of our challenges in life is our culture of America says, go get a job, get to work. Your parents obviously have a great career that way. How do they look to you and say, you're not a doctor? Do they?
You know, I think at first they didn't understand it. I think the baby boomer generation has a hard time conceptualizing, you know, young people going off into business in a very reckless, abandoned way. I think that's how they perceive it. Because for a couple generations, everybody in my family was told to go to college and just become a professional. But when you look at the amount of millennials coming out of college who can't, you know, land a decent job, and you may be coming out with $100,000 or more in debt, you know, the workforce is changing. And so I think now they understand it, but I think at the time when I was getting out of high school, they didn't quite grasp it. But yeah, man, the way that things are rapidly changing, I think they wish they would have been a little bit more entrepreneurial from the start. So I think everybody now can you know, sink their teeth into why it's important to, you know, have ownership and the freedom that allows. But it also comes with great responsibility. So.
And I think it'll be interesting to that point, 30, 40 years from now, when everyone, I don't want to say everyone's an entrepreneur, because there always will be employees, or will always be that security. But when it's normal, where I'm raising my kid to want to be an entrepreneur, far beyond go get a job at a paper route, right? I'll fund your lemonade stand. You're going to do the same thing. This generation is going to do that same thing.
Even to your point, being an entrepreneur, I mean, people aren't working at the same jobs for 30 years like they used to.
Yeah.
My mom has been at the city of Grand Rapids for about 30, 35 years. I can't imagine being at one place in that way. And that's not the new model anyway. They say people in our generation are going to switch jobs at least 5 or 6 times before we retire, if we're lucky to retire, right? Because some of those social, you know, security nets aren't going to be there anymore. So we have to be thinking about all these things, and I think being an entrepreneur allows you to take control over your own destiny. You have to be good at management. You have to be extremely thoughtful about, you know, what's, you know, all the different variables and how things are going to change. But it's a great opportunity, and for anybody who, you know, is really ambitious and, you know, has that hustle and that drive, you should go for it.
I like it. How would you describe your hustle? How would you describe what it is that you do to hustle?
Yeah, man, I just want it all. You know, I want the things that I want, and I want them immediately. That instant gratification, man, is in my DNA, you know, as Kendrick was saying. You know, so I'm passionate. I'm a passionate person. When I have an idea, I want to see it come into fruition. And you kind of just get this bug where you'll stop at nothing in order to achieve those goals. And it's a good thing. It can be a bad thing at times, but if you harness it the correct way and you're respectful about it to the people in your life, and you cultivate some understanding, then you can execute, man, on all cylinders. And so it's what gets me up in the morning, and it's what makes me, like, today I was up till like 3 or 4, just working on ideas, and I just like to get more and more grandiose, kind of inspired by you guys here with the show and everything that's going on. Like I derive inspiration from other people who I see hustling.
So, honest question here, coming from the minority of the group here. Does Grand Rapids do a great job, a good job, or a bad job at collaborating from corner to corner, we'll just say, of the Grand Rapids? And how can we do better as a community?
I think I always say Grand Rapids is a city of silos, so we don't do a good job. If you're in the tech industry, you know nothing about the fashion industry in Grand Rapids. If you're into the green jobs and the energy stuff, you probably don't know as much about Medical Mile, and that's a great disservice to our community, because if we were able to connect the dots a little bit more, our growth would accelerate, by 100,000 times. So I think we need to connect more. We need people from different industries talking to one another. People need to value the creative economy a little bit more. The generational disconnect has a lot to do with this. Also culturally, we're still too segregated of a community. If we're hoping to attract and retain talent in this community, you have to embrace people from different ethnic backgrounds, people who are coming from all over the world. And we don't do a good job of that yet. And so you're seeing a big push for it. You're seeing organizations like Start Garden, which is one that I work with, who are trying to bring more people together. People like Link have been doing that on the front lines for a very long time. So you have organizations leading the way, but in order for us to really become that shining city on a hill, you're going to need much more of that.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like stuff like Midwest Tech Project helped with that. Because then, I was at an event last night, and I saw 2 of the kids who came here from the time we did the tour, and they said that they've been following our stuff and that they're really inspired by it. And I'm like, I wish I was, able to just see that same stuff, even in the area of film and content creation. So I think it's really cool, the initiatives that are being done.
Yeah, the Midwest Tech Project, man, I'm really excited about that one. Just working with young people, but simultaneously doing our robust calendar of community events that can kind of get people indoctrinated to the different content areas of technology, be it advanced manufacturing or robotics, or even just the coding stuff. Like, it's just such an exciting world to be a part of. And if you think about it, where the workforce is going, there's new initiatives around autonomous cars that I know about that's going to be piloted soon here in the city. It's a scary time, but it's also just so exciting, man. So
Give me a tangible example of Midwest Tech Project, an actual project. How are you connecting with Medical Mile or something?
Yeah, so like with our man/woman versus machine robotics expo, that's an event that we have at MLK Leadership Academy, a Grand Rapids public school on the southeast side. We bring out your steel cases and some of the companies that Burgett Close and the Right Place connect us with. And, we get 300 to 400 people who come out from the community to learn about this area within technology. And it's great to see people, have exposure to some of the virtual reality stuff. Spectrum Health is a consistent partner of ours and a strategic partner of ours. And so we're really excited for them to engage with people who don't necessarily, they don't interact with on an everyday basis unless they're just coming into the hospital, checking in and out. About the workforce, them being the biggest employer, it's so important for the community to be able to have that kind of contact with where they can get jobs. I think in Michigan, the big thing is creating jobs, and so that's one of those kinds of events. And then we have like our hackathon coming up, which we're collaborating with a whole bunch of different companies, with Carbon Stories being one, Spectrum Health being another, and many others, the Geek Group. Which is going to be in downtown Grand Rapids, where people are going to be able to work together in teams, coming up with new tech ideas, new great entrepreneurial and business ideas, but all centered around helping to solve city problems. The mayor issued a challenge at our State of the City address. It was like a call to action. It's called the GR Local Challenge, which is shopping local, supporting local, but also working together to solve the problems that we have here in the city. And so I was inspired by that and my team. And so yeah, we're excited to utilize tech in very tangible ways. You know, not just in the abstract, not in the ways that people can't relate to it, but in the ways that we can, you know, help people with, you know, getting their trash collected more quickly, you know, or being able to identify resources for entrepreneurs a little bit faster.
I think that's exciting. I mean, hearing grassroots from your end, seeing what the city, I think the city does a great job already with some of that technology pushing the envelope. I love that we have simple things like recycling, right?
Right.
I think the city is setting the standard to say anything is possible, although our conservative nature still needs a little nudging by guys like you. So I think that's great.
Yeah, man, that's one of the things we have to fight. It's great to be conservative. I think conservative has done well for us from a government standpoint, because we've been able to survive the economic downturn. If you look at some of the other cities in Michigan, our sister and brother cities, you know, your Flints, your Detroits, they've had a tougher struggle because the entrepreneurial community, the big business community, and the philanthropic community didn't have the foresight that we have here in Grand Rapids. However, our conservative nature can betray us because when it comes to being cutting edge and developing new ideas and supporting millennials, young people who are really taking the world by storm, you know, we just don't have the support system there. And once we establish that, then I think we'll be golden. When we establish that, we'll be golden, and we address some of our diversity issues. And that kind of ties in with GRUSA. I mean, I couldn't believe, like you said off camera, that we didn't have a brand that really represents the city. You know, I'm very proud to be from Grand Rapids, despite all its challenges. We have so many assets here, and so we wanted to come up with the definitive brand that had Grand Rapids on it. I mean, it's great that people were wearing Detroit versus everybody t-shirts, and of course we're all Tigers fans and Red Wings fans, but Grand Rapids kind of has its own culture, and West Michigan definitely has its own identity, and we felt like that needed to be represented, and so we just stepped up and, you know, kind of made it happen, my partner Willie and I. So
Wow.
I love it. I think for some reason the pride of Grand Rapids, right? I was watching the Golf Channel 2 weeks ago. The LPGA was up at Blythefield, and they had a cool shot of the boat going up the river, and it made our city. Well, granted, it was professional cameras, but it made our city look amazing. And there was this pride. Like I yelled at my wife, like, "Check this out!" Right? I mean, there is something. I grew up in Flint area. That pride wasn't there because it wasn't, you know. So there's something special about this place. Something special about guys like you. And I think doing something like this is trying to highlight all the cool stuff going on.
Man, so much cool stuff going on, and there's always been a ton of pride in Grand Rapids. We're just so humble. We have so much humility here, so we don't pat ourselves on the back. To a certain degree, I think we do ourselves a disservice because we should be shouting from the mountaintops how great Grand Rapids is, while at the same time addressing how we can make this city world class. And I think we're well on our way.
Yes.
Awesome. What's a couple of things you want people to take from you and what you're doing? Some words of encouragement. It could just be a mindset. It could be...
Hey man, please just know that there's a lot of opportunity here in the city, and even though things can be tough, there really are no limits as to what you can do. And Grand Rapids is a city for those who are creators. You know, carbon creators or just creators. Period. You know, it's a city where if you're an architect, if you're a builder, if you're a creator, the world is kind of your oyster, but you have to be confident in what it is that you're doing. Don't expect support from, you know, every angle of the community, because initially when you're getting off the ground, nobody's gonna understand you. Expect to be doubted a little bit, because, you know, we're from a community where people haven't seen a lot done yet, you know, especially coming from the creative side of things. So you just have to be bold and unapologetic, and sometimes be in people's faces in order to get things done, but it will happen, and when it comes around, it's oh so sweet. So yeah, that would be the mindset.
It's a lot sweeter when it comes around, right?
Absolutely, every time, man.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
It is.
We don't have a sign off.
We don't have to sign off. But this is episode 5
Yeah,
of the
thank
Garage
you for
Hustle.
joining us. Make
Yeah.
sure you guys continue to like and share and comment. And
hustling, hustling, hustling.